What is going on, YouTube? Welcome to yet another episode of the Fight Maniac podcast. Thank you guys so much for tuning in once again. I really appreciate all of you that are out there watching. Thank you guys. It means a lot to me if you tune in for these episodes. As always, if you want to support your boy, all I ask is that you hit that like button and you hit the subscribe button. That would help me out tremendously. And I hope all of you had a fantastic weekend. I know I did, watching my, you can't see it, but my Kansas City Chiefs defeat the Buffalo Bills at the AFC Championship game for obviously now going to the Super Bowl. So that was pretty awesome. Obviously, I live in Kansas City, so that's why I root for the Chiefs. I know you guys hate them. I know everybody hates them, but whatever. It is what it is. They just find a way to win. I'll be the first one to tell you that Mahomes and Kelsey, they didn't have the best season at all. They're not having the best playoffs, by any means. But they find a way to win. They find a way to win. And, look, I know everybody wants to say, oh, the refs help them out. Fuck off, okay? Yesterday, they had a lot of calls against them, too. Yesterday, the refs were pretty even. And they still won. They still managed to win. So all of you saying, oh, it's the Bills versus the refs. No, fuck off, okay? The Chiefs had a lot of calls and a lot of flags against them as well. So they were pretty fair yesterday, and they still won. I did have also a few parlays. I'll talk about this, and then I'll talk about the fights. So I had Chiefs money line, which hit. I had... I did this last minute. I had Patrick Mahomes scoring 2 touchdowns. It was actually a suggestion that I saw on the app on FanDuel. And I was like, oh, that's interesting. And then I hit it. And it hit. He scored 2 touchdowns. And I made money on that. So it was pretty fucking awesome. So overall, total, I probably made $100. Unfortunately, I had a big parlay that was going to pay out like almost $600. It was like $550, $560. And it didn't hit because of Josh Allen needed way more rushing yards, which he didn't get as many as I needed. And then Travis Kelce didn't have as many yards as well. So those two, there was like one more other, but I forgot what it was. It was Noah Gray. He needed a few more pass completions, and it didn't happen, unfortunately. So other than that, it was really close. I had like 5 other that did hit. So, I mean, fuck, it was right there, bro. I just needed a few more, and your boy would have been balling. But obviously, we are heading to the Super Bowl 3 years in a row now. If we do win, it's the first time that any NFL team has done that before. So even if you're not rooting for the Chiefs, even if you don't like the Chiefs, seeing history being made is pretty fucking awesome, right? It's like in fighting when an underdog. I know this is different. Chiefs are not the underdogs, but I'm just saying, like, it's when an underdog is gonna defeat a well-established dominant champ. It's kind of like that. It's like I want to see those magical moments happen and those historical moments that we're gonna remember forever. 3 in a row. It's pretty fucking big deal. It's never been done before. It's like rooting for Alex Pereira to be triple champ. I mean, who doesn't want to see that? You know what I mean? It's fucking insane. So, yeah. Anyways, now we can transition to the fights. So, obviously, this Saturday, we have UFC Fight Night. It's not a pay-per-view, so should be cheaper to watch, which is awesome. We have the former middleweight champion of the world, Israel, the last style bender, Adesanya, facing number 5 contender, Nasruddin Imavov. So this should be a pretty good fight. I'll tell you why. Both of these guys, strikers. None of them have wrestling at all. I mean, we know Izzy probably worked on some wrestling for his previous fight, especially against the one against DDP. But, he's not a wrestler. He's a striker. And so is Imavov. So this should be a straight striking fight. If it's not, I'm going to lose my shit, all right? Sometimes you get 2 strikers and we say, oh, it's going to be a banger. It's going to be a KO. And sometimes it doesn't happen. Sometimes it does not happen. because they, for whatever reason, they decided to wrestle. You know what I mean? And sometimes it just turns into a boring wrestler fight, or it turns into a purple belt jiu-jitsu match. You know what I mean? So definitely don't want to see that. I'm not saying that we don't appreciate that. Okay, we are not casuals here in this channel. Guys, we are not casual. We enjoy wrestling and jiu-jitsu. We appreciate it. We respect it, obviously. If you want to watch straight striking, go watch boxing, go watch kickboxing, go watch Muay Thai. But that being said, I think this is going to be a straight striking fight. Now, I wouldn't mind if one of these guys, especially Izzy, mixes it up a bit, mixes up a takedown or two. I think that would be awesome, especially if they are, one thing about Izzy is he has to be careful not to headhunt anymore, okay? Because obviously with the fights against Pereira and Strickland, he got clipped, he got dropped, and it's your jaw gives out after a little while, your brain gives out when you get hit. So he has to be careful not to get hit by Imavov, who hits hard, by the way. But that reason why is like, look, don't just look for the finish in striking, okay? Like, mix it up. And one formula that we see over and over work for a lot of people, for a lot of fighters, is, do work on the feet, obviously strike and go hit the body and hit some jabs, but then, mid-round, get a takedown. And if you do that 3 rounds out of the 5, you win the fight by decision. I mean, that's pretty fucking that's pretty fucking safe to say, you know what I mean? So if I wouldn't mind if Izzy mixes up his game a little bit and gets some takedowns. Who knows? Maybe after the DDP fight, he kind of doubled down his wrestling training. I know he was also training with Robert Whittaker a few days or weeks ago, and obviously Whittaker is a phenomenal wrestler, so that should be interesting. I wouldn't mind that. I wouldn't mind that at all, especially just to show that you're actually a GOAT of a division. Okay, Izzy is obviously regarded as one of the best, if not the best, middleweight in history. You know what I mean? But you can't have that status a long time with just striking. So how cool would it be if Israel Adesanya comes out second round, first round, whatever, and gets a takedown? Who knows? Possibly even a submission. Like, that would really show that, hey, I really am the best in this game. And I really am deserving of the title that people have given me. Because we see that striking shit, it doesn't really last that long. Look at someone like Sean O'Malley. I mean, look at Izzy, for example. Those two guys, the odd exception here would be like, Alex Pereira. But Alex Pereira hasn't really fought like a fucking amazing wrestler just yet. He's going to pretty soon. But look at Sean O'Malley, look at Izzy. Both strikers, both considered some of the best at their division, but eventually they run into that one motherfucker who's their size, who's good at wrestling, who's good at control, and they can't win. You know what I mean? So that's what happened with Sean versus Marav. That's what happened with Izzy versus DDP. Even versus Sean Strickland as well. So I wouldn't mind if Izzy improved on his game and saying, okay, you know what? Yes, striking is fun. Getting KOs is fun, obviously, but let me show that I'm really deserving of the championship. Let me show that I truly am one of, if not the best middleweights of all time, by showing you guys that I have other tools. And I talk about that on this channel a lot, is having the tools to win a fight. You know what I mean? Is how I predicted. That's how I predicted a lot of fights. Now, I was going to say a few bad examples. It's how I predicted a lot of fights. Is who has the more tools to win, right? Marav versus Sean O'Malley. Obviously, Marav has way more tools to win than Sean. Don't get me wrong. Sean is a fantastic striker, but Marav has decent striking plus everything else, the wrestling, the grappling. So it's all about tools and who has more tools to win. And look, I'm not saying Izzy cannot get a dove by KO. I think that could definitely happen, especially if Imavov gets. Imavov is lacking some of that experience that Izzy already has. So if Imavov, does a bad job at controlling himself and really going for a kill or headhunting, one thing that Izzy does best is counter-striking. So if Imavov is not careful and he headhunts a lot, Izzy will sleep him. That's 100% a guarantee. 100% a guarantee. If he's in a bad spot, at any point of the fight with his hands down, Izzy is a fucking sniper, okay? And he will sleep Imavov. So if you want to make bets on Izzy by KO, that's not a bad bet. That's really not a bad bet at all. Especially early rounds, like 1 or 2 rounds, I think. This could definitely go that way. But again, that would be a great way to finish the fight. That would be a great way for Izzy to make his comeback, to say, hey, motherfuckers, I'm still at the top. I'm still deserving of a title shot after DDP and Strickland. We'll see what happens with Khamzat Chimaev because he's also right there, So I think it's gonna be fun. But again, he can do that, or he can show us that, hey, I've improved in other areas of my game too, right? My wrestling and my grappling, and I can dominate this guy for 5 rounds straight. That, in my opinion, I think goes a long way when you're fighting someone like DDP, right? Because AC already lost to DDP with his old fighting style. If he fights DDP again with the same fighting style that he did last, he could lose the fight again. So I think he has to show us that he has improved in other areas of his game. Like I said, wrestling and grappling primarily, right? He's good at striking. Obviously, we know that. He's one of the best. And he's good at counter-striking. He's got good defense. Decent. Sometimes he does that thing a lot where he goes side to side. And that is such a 50-50 game, bro, because that's how he got caught against Alex. That's how he got caught against Strickland. And even against DDP. DDP caught and he didn't knock him out, but he caught him with that too, which initiated the end for him, the finishing sequence, when he got submitted. He does that a lot. He gets against the fence. It's one thing I hate. He gets against the fence. He goes left to right. He thinks he's going to, and sometimes he does. Sometimes he slicks out to one side. But, we've seen time and time again that that's a 50-50. If you go left when you should have gone right, your opponent's going to be waiting right there. You know what I mean? So, which is interesting. Another thing to point out, Imavov is also an orthodox. Okay, never mind. I thought he was a southpaw. He is an orthodox. So I think that benefits Izzy. I think Izzy, when he goes against southpaws, it's a little more, it's harder overall. We all know that, But yeah, my official prediction for this fight is going to be Israel Adesanya. I think by KO. That's what I want to say. That's what I want to see, obviously. But again, I wouldn't mind if Izzy wrestles a little bit, he mixes it up, he dominates this guy for 5 rounds straight, and he makes a statement. You know what I mean? Now, Imavov is no punk, bro. I mean, looking at his record, the only loss he has recently, he has 2 losses in the UFC against Phil House. And then after that, the only loss he has in the UFC is against Sean Strickland. So obviously former champ, you know what I mean? Savage. So that should be a really, really interesting fight. And obviously we have Izzy, who has the loss against DDP, the loss against Strickland. And before that, he lost against Pereira. So, he had a clean, fantastic record when he was champ and he was dominating. He was slapping the division. And then it got a little, it got a little rocky after that. You know what I mean? Lost 3 out of his last 5 fights. So it's a little unfortunate. But I truly believe that Izzy makes a comeback here. And that Izzy puts himself back in a position to fight for the title. Again, depending on what will happen with Khamzat Chimaev. But I think if Izzy makes a statement here in this fight, he's up there again for the title. And that's what I want to see because I'm a huge AC fan, So shout out. And I want to see him fighting against DDP because that last fight was a good fight. I thought Izzy improved a lot, right? I thought he looked fantastic. He looked almost like prime Izzy, mid-fight until he didn't. You know what I mean? Until, like I said, he just messed up the defense and got caught. Again, the main thing for Izzy is do that playing possum type of shit. You know what I mean? It's like, just get out of the way. Don't, he gets against the fence and then he has his hands are down. The motherfucker, like, get out of the way. So I hope he learns from that, because if he gets rocked like that again or KO like that again, like, what are you doing? Are you not watching tape? Did you not see how Alex knocked you out? Did you not see how Strickland knocked you down? Like, it's been the same way almost over and over. So improve that. Stop fucking around and improve that. You know what I mean? So that should be interesting. But that's my main prediction for the first one is Adesanya by KO. Next up, we have a fantastic fight. I'm so excited for this fight, bro. This is crazy. And I didn't know this was happening until last week. Fucking wild. We have Shara, the Bullet, Magomedov, versus Michael Venom Page, MVP. This is a great fight, okay? This is also guarantee you a primarily striking fight. Even though you might be wondering, wait, but this guy Magomedov, that's his last name. Isn't he gonna wrestle? No. Okay? No. Although he is from Russia, he's from Dagestan, and his last name is Magomedov. He is really not a wrestler. He's one of the odd ones that from Russia that are not wrestlers. He's a fantastic striker. He has an insane knockout the last time out. He had a double back fist KO against Armin Petrosian. And that was one of, if not knockout of the year. Only next to Max Holloway versus Justin Gaethje. That was fucking wild. So fantastic striker. The one knock I have on Magomedov is that he doesn't have that great of a defense, okay? He gets hit a lot. He gets cracked. And, with that hair, when he gets cracked, that shit just goes flying. And if you know about MVP is a fucking sniper, dude. He's a phenomenal striker, okay? Obviously, if you don't know about him, this is his third, I think, fight in the UFC. Let me check. Yeah, third fight in the UFC. Lost against Ian Gary, which I thought it was bullshit. I thought he won, and then won against Kevin Holland, which is easy as fuck. Kevin Holland sucks. But before that, he was in Bellator, and he also did Bare Knuckle. And this guy is a phenomenal striker, dude, and phenomenal mixing it up with the elbows and kicks, and he's just a great fighter overall. Mainly, I think kickboxer for sure. And I think that he has a real opportunity here. Again, if Magomedov doesn't watch his defense, like in previous fights, he's getting hit a lot. But he's gotten hit against some other guys that are not MVP. MVP hits you, you're fucking going down, bro. Although I will say MVP is also a little bit of a volume striker. He has knockouts and he can knock you out for sure. But if the guy has good defense, then MVP turns him more a little bit into a volume striker, which is not bad. It's good to have those two options. If you cannot put a guy away, you still gotta have the output and the cardio to fight a guy and outstrike him for 5 rounds. Actually, is this a 3-round fight or a 5-round fight? I am not 100% sure if this is a 3 or 5 rounds. But, you have to have both tools. You either have to be able to knock a guy out or you have to be able to strike him for 5 rounds. And I think MVP has those two options, which is great. Which would be my official prediction for this. Oh, this was tough, bro. I don't know. Like, I want to predict Shara because he's like on an insane wave right now and possibly a future champ, or at least a future belt contender for sure. And MVP is great, but he's also a little bit older. He hasn't really gotten the spark in the UFC that I would have liked. I thought he would have came over here and started knocking dudes out left and right. You know what I mean? Hasn't been the case. He's had two decisions back to back, so it's unfortunate. I think I'm gonna wild it out, and I think I'm gonna go Shara. I think I'm gonna go Shara. Oh, I don't know, dude. This one's so hard to call. I don't know if I want to put money on this one, guys, because this was literally a 50-50. Like, I could see this going either way. Like, I could see Shara pulling off some crazy shit like he always does. He's explosive, he's fast, he's a little, he's hard to read, really, in a way. So it's going to be hard for MVP to kind of figure out his game plan. But again, MVP is such a precision guy and such a sniper that fuck. I don't know, dude. Okay, I'm gonna stop. I'm gonna stop yapping, and I think I'm gonna predict. I'm gonna predict a decision. Okay, I'm gonna start with that. I'm gonna predict this going to decision, and it's gonna be taken by Shara Bullet and Magomedov. That's what I think is gonna happen. I think Shara is gonna. I think it's gonna be a great fight. Don't get me wrong. It's gonna be a good back and forth. If there's any KOs, I think Shara's gonna get it. I think, I mean, both these guys could get KOs. I don't know. This is so tough to call. My official prediction will be Shara Bullet by decision. Both of these guys, however, could get a KO 100%. I don't know if I want to put any money on this one because this is such a 50-50. It's wild. MVP has way better defense, that's for sure. But Shara is way more explosive and unpredictable and awkward. But again, MVP is a striker and a fucking sniper. Oh, okay. All right. Sorry. Yeah. Shara Bullet by decision. That's my last fucking prediction right there. I'm going to start yapping. Next up, we have the heavyweights, big boys. Sergey Pavlovich going on against Jarinho Rosenstruck. Southpaw versus Orthodox. Now, Sergey Pavlovich, former title contender, obviously he lost the fight against Tom Aspinall for the interim title, so that's a little unfortunate. Fell on some tough times because after that, also lost against Alexander Volkov. So, 2 losses in a row, it's a little unfortunate, but before that, the guy has a fantastic record, and had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 KOs in a row before losing to Tom Aspinall. It's literally since his first UFC debut. Well, actually, hold on. In his UFC debut, he lost by KO against Alistar Overeem. Shout out, the GOAT, one of the GOATs. And then had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 KOs in a row, bro. That's impressive, okay? And then gets KO'd by Tom Aspinall, a guy that, was out of a couch. It's so funny to me that, Sergey was probably like training hard and shit like that and has insane KO power and it's a KO master. And then Tom Aspinall had barely any weeks to train and boom, he KOs him. So, that's great. But 6 KOs in a row is not a fucking joke, bro, okay? So lost to Tom Aspinall, then lost to Alexander Volkov after that. So little unfortunate. And on the other hand, we have Jarinho Rosenstruck, who I think hasn't fought for a title yet, has he? Let me see. No, he hasn't. He hasn't fought for the title. Out of his last 5 fights, he's lost 2, so a little unfortunate. He got knocked out by Cruz Daukaus, and he got knocked out by Volkov. So both of these guys, the one opponent they have in common, well, more opponents, but the most recent opponent they have in common is Alexander Volkov, and they both lost to him. So that's interesting. And then after that, he won against Daukaus. He lost against Almeida, and then knocked out Shamil Gaziv, and then won against Tatu Ibasa, who is a great fighter, by split decision. So, this is gonna be this heavyweight type of fights go either way. Okay, either one of these guys gets knocked out in the first round, or we get 3 very long, very slow rounds of fighting. Sergey, I think, has a little bit more of the edge here, I want to say. Definitely on KO power. I think definitely on wrestling, I think, as well. Jarinho does have some wrestling as well, but I mean, he's primarily a striker. They're both primarily strikers, but I think Sergey, being Russian at all, probably has more of the advantage on the ground. So that should be interesting. But I mean, shit, bro, looking at Jarinho's record right here, it's pretty damn near as Sergey's. I mean, he had, coming into the UFC, he had 1, 2, 3, 4 KOs in a row, and then lost by KO against Ngannou. He got knocked out. And then won by KO again and had 1, 2, 3, 4 KOs more after that. I mean, the guy is okay, 3 fights in the main event that are going to be back-to-back straight striking. Izzy versus Imavov, Shara Bullet versus MVP, and Sergey Pavlovich versus Jarinho Rosenstruck. These fights, I guarantee you, do not go the distance. Well, we'll see. But Sergey versus Jarinho, I guarantee you that does not go the distance. So I'll bet the under on that for sure, all day long. It's a risk, though. It's a risk because, again, we either get a knockout in round 1 or we either get, fucking 3 slow, very heavy, very boring rounds. So that should be a little unfortunate. Next up, we have Said Nurmagomedov versus Oliveira. What's his first name? Vinicius Oliveira. This is the goddamn 4th Russian in this card. Like, Jesus Christ. I know it's in Saudi Arabia, but fuck, dude. After Umar and after Islam and after Usman fighting, like, bruh, I'm tired of this fucking Dagestanis, bro. Like, Jesus Christ. And all they do is win. Like, Jesus fuck. I know Umar lost, but like, Jesus Christ, dude. Take a fucking break. Anyways, we have Said Nurmagomedov versus Vinicius Oliveira. I think this is going to be a good fight. This probably has potential to be fight of the night just because these two guys are really well-rounded. Obviously Said is Dagestani, so he has that wrestling. And he has good striking as well. It's pretty decent. And then you have Oliveira, who is also well-rounded guy overall, who unfortunately hasn't really fought anybody. Both of these guys, looking at the records, don't have any major wins over crazy opponents. Oliveira did have that fantastic KO win against, I forgot who it was, but it was the flying KO, which was fucking awesome. I forget who was that. He has 2 KOs. He was one against B. Sopash. Yeah, it was Bernardo Sopash. Knocked him out with a flying knee, which was crazy. And then before that, he defeated Victor Madrigal, a Mexican dude, also by KO. But that was at the Contender Series. Never mind. That was at Contender Series. So we kind of count that. We kind of. But that's it. He doesn't really have any other wins. So both of these guys are, I think, on the come up. Said has more experience in the UFC right now, but he has some KOs, but again, just not any big names, I mean, some of the guys he's fought here are guys that sometimes I've never even heard of before, you know what I mean? So it's going to be interesting if they can finally break into, I mean, are they even ranked? I don't think they're ranked, right? No, these guys are not ranked right now. So maybe with this win, I think this would be the win that puts them in the radar for a 15 spot. You know what I mean? For a ranking spot. So that should be interesting. They are bantamweights, so looking at the rankings there, you have to go a little bit lower in the rankings for sure. And the bantamweight is a fucking deep division right now. So, you have people like Rob Font, Henry Cejudo, Jose Aldo still there doing this thing. So yeah, I think that should be, you got Chito Vera, one of my favorite fighters. So that should be fucking interesting, bro. Obviously the champ is Marav. So we'll see how these guys stack up against some of these top bantamweights. So that will be really interesting. But for this one, I mean, again, how can you bet against the Nurmagomedovs? You know what I mean? But I have to do a little bit more research on Said's defense. I don't know if it's that good because again, Oliveira can come out with some of those fucking crazy flying knees and shit like that, and who knows? He could catch Said with something crazy like that. But overall, I'm gonna give it to Said. I think he's gonna get the dub. So shout out. Next up, we do have Ikram Aliskerov going on against Andre Munich. This is gonna be a good fight as well. Could potentially be fight of the night. Obviously, we have Ikram, who, if you don't know, last year he was a last-minute replacement for Shimaev versus Robert Whitaker, and he came in, confidence, young dude, up-and-coming guy, and a lot of people said, "Holy shit! Well, maybe he's gonna do something against Robert." And fortunately, it didn't happen. Unfortunately, he got knocked out by Robert, so that's interesting there. I think that's about the only big name fight he has because that was his third fight in the UFC, not counting the Dana White Contender Series. However, he does have 2 KOs, so that's impressive. 2 out of his last 3 wins in the UFC are by KO and 1 by submission, so all finishes. So good for him. Obviously, he got finished by Robert as well. So on the other hand, we have Andre Munich, who has a little bit more experience. He's fought guys with bigger names like Uriah Hall, Brendan Allen, Paul Craig, and has been in the UFC a lot more longer. So Eric Anders, he has win against some big name guys. So I think Uriah Hall is probably the most impressive one he has by decision. A lot of submissions, which is great as well to see, and a guy like him, obviously from Brazil. He is also a southpaw, so that's interesting to see how Ikram will adjust and adapt to a southpaw like that. Actually, never mind, they're both southpaws. So, okay, well, might be a good striking match as well. But overall, these 2 guys are very, very well-rounded, and I think this is another classic case of Sambo versus Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. So, I hate to say it. I hate to fucking say it, but I think I'm going to give it again to the Russian, to the Dagestani, bro. I think this is going to go to Ikram Aliskerov. So, I think it's going to be Ikram by decision. No, you know what? Fuck that. I'm going to say Ikram by KO. The guy, think about it. Other than Robert Whitaker, he's got all KOs in the UFC. So, I mean, pretty impressive. So if he continues with that trend, if you say, you know what, the Robert Whitaker fight never happened, all right, there we go, all KOs. And he can continue on that path. So, and he's a massive favorite, bro. Massive. Minus 650. He's so far the biggest favorite of the day. I mean, bigger than Israel Adesanya as well. So, I mean, that's pretty impressive. Next up, we have Muhammad Naimov going against Khan Offley. I think for this one, I'm going to go with Muhammad just because his record is a little better and has been in the UFC a little bit longer and has more experience. Khan, or sorry, how to spell his name, Khan or Kane, I don't know. I think he only has in the UFC 1 fight, and he lost it against Santos Alves. So a little unfortunate there. Like I said, Muhammad has actually a pretty impressive record going back. He has win against Silva, again against what's his name, Nathaniel Wood, and he has a few finishes. He has a KO and he KO'd Silva. So I mean that's fucking impressive. Eric Silva. So that should be a good fight. I'm going to give it to Muhammad Naimov. That is your first fight of the main event. Shamil Gaziev versus Thomas Peterson. I think I'm going to give that one to... You know what? I'm going to give one to Team USA. Okay? I'm going to give Thomas Peterson, unranked, and going on against the 14 guy. So I'm going to give that one to Thomas Peterson. We have Abdul Karim Al-Silwadi versus Bolaj Oki. I'm also going to go Team USA with this one. I'm going to go... You know what? Let me look at the records. Hold on. Because I don't know who these guys have fought. Let's see. Abdul Karim has one KO loss and one win by decision in Dana White's contender. A lot of contender guys here. A lot of contender guys. And then Bolaji Oki has a loss by submission, a win by decision, and a win by KO as well in the contender series. Like I said, a lot of guys from contender series in this episode. I think I'm gonna give this one to Bolaji Oki. Bolaji Oki, I think it's I'm liking his record a little better. So we have Terrence McKinney against Damir Hadjovic. This one I'm gonna give it to Terrence. He is a cool dude, and I think that he's gonna win this one. He lost his last fight out against Ribovics, so it's a little bit unfortunate. But I think that he can get back in the win column and continue on his path. So that's hope for the best for him. So shout out. Then we have Fares Ziam, versus Mike Davis. I'm gonna go Team USA again here, although I don't know these guys' records that much. I'm gonna go. Let me see. Let me look at the record real quick, and I can make a little prediction. So Mike Davis has 4 wins in a row right now. KO, decision, and submission. And then Ziam has also 4 wins in a row. Oh, wow. Decision, and KO. This is going to be a good fight. This is going to be a great fight, potentially fight of the night. So make sure you tune in for that. Fares Ziam versus Mike Davis should be interesting. Both have good records undefeated right now, or at least not undefeated, but at least has won their last 4. So next up, we have 2 female fighters. This should be a really good fight as well. Jasmine Jasudavicius versus Mayra Bueno Silva. This should be a good fight. Mayra Bueno Silva, I think, is coming off of a loss against Raquel Pennington. For the belt. Was it for the belt? I think it was for the belt. I don't remember. And then I think she has another loss as well after that. But hey, she went a little bit on a tear before that. She's got a few submission wins. And she's been in the UFC for a hot second now, since 2018. She has a win against Jillian Robertson, which she is also great. She's a phenomenal grappler. And then, after that, she has a no contest against Holly Holm. So if you want to count that in. And Jasmine, let me look at her record real quick, because I'm not too familiar with her record. She has 3 wins in a row right now, 2 submissions. That's great. Loss against Tracy Cortez. I think that was recently, right? That was Noche UFC. Nice. And then, pretty impressive record overall. A lot of decision wins, unfortunately. So, not really a finisher. So, I think I'm going to give this one to Bueno Silva. I think she will get this dub. So, shout out. Next up, we have Bogdan Grad versus Lucas Alexander. I think Bogdan Grad is making his UFC debut, if I'm not mistaken. I think he is from the contender. Again, a lot of contender guys here. And he's going on against Lucas Alexander, who's been in the UFC for a little bit longer, but has 2 losses out of 3 fights in the UFC. So, got KO'd the last time out. So, a little bit unfortunate. Maybe he can get back in the win column. I'm going to give this one to the contender guy, to Bogdan Grad. A little weird name, but from Austria. You don't see a lot of Austrian fighters. That's crazy. You know what I think is funny? It's every time a new fighter from a new country comes out and has an impressive win, or just a semi-decent impressive win, in the press conference, they always ask Dana White, "Oh, when are you guys going to Austria?" Like, fuck off, okay? We have one fighter from one country do good and they want the UFC to go there. Like, all right, bro. The UFC haven't even been to Africa and they had 3 African champions, bro. Like, Dana White has been promising that since 2 years ago. So, we'll see. We'll see. And then very, very last, or you could say the first fight of the night is Hamdi Abdelawab versus Jamal Pogis. That one is interesting. These guys have their heavyweights as well. So again, it could be either a first round KO or it could be 3 slow rounds. Let's see here. Pogis has a good record with winning 4 out of his last 5. 4 fights in the UFC. Again, another one contender series. But have been all decisions. So a heavyweight that wins all by decisions is not that good. Not that promising, I should say. Hamdi Abdelawab is only fought once in the UFC before, and it was a no contest against Dontel Mayes. So, okay, this one's going to be interesting. I think I'm going to take Pogis for this one just because he has more UFC experience and more wins, but you never know. Anything could happen. Anything could happen. Anyways, that's going to be all for today, guys. Again, thank you so much for tuning in. I really, really appreciate all of you that are out there watching. Let me know down in the comments what you guys think of my predictions, of my train of thoughts here. Am I fucking crazy or am I onto something with some of these predictions, Let me know if anything what I say makes sense or if I'm fucking stupid. Please let me know. I want to know. I want to know either way. But thank you guys. I hope you all have a fantastic rest of your week. And I'll catch you guys next week to talk about these fights, the breakdown of what happened and what's next for the fighters. So shout out and I'll see you all in the next one. Peace.